My name is Beresford Williams. I'm the leader and chairman of Republic National Independent Party, ReNIP. I'm broadcasting this message to the people of Sierra Leone, the government of Sierra Leone, and in particular to the Minister of Lands, Dr. Dennis Sandi, and the Ministry of Lands. There's been some rumors in both the social and general media about a memo released by Dr. Sandi requesting a specific ethnicity group in Sierra Leone, to be more specific, the Krios, to bring in all the land documents in a specific area that they do believe that these documents are not authenticated or falsified. First of all, I just want to address the government, in particular Dr. Sandi and his commander-in-chief, the president of Sierra Leone, and I'll also address these target groups, the Krio, and I'll advise both parties what to do and how to resolve or come to some dialogue. First of all, in Sierra Leone we do have an executive president. An executive president is a presidency whereby you govern by a democracy. And in doing that, you have to manage the country. So each and every ethnicity group is equal in the eyes of the law. No one is above the law. For a minister, their role, they are administrators. So they carry out the duties of the land that is inscribed in the law. Because of this, a minister cannot write a memo requesting a specific documentation from a specific ethnicity group. You can't do that. If you want to introduce a land reform in the country, you have to pass a law. And the land reform will affect everybody across the country. Targeting a specific group, it's a crime in the International Criminal Courts and as well as under the UN General Assembly resolution. The crime under the International Criminal Court, the ICC, Article 8 defines that a crime of aggression where military or mercenaries are used to target a specific groups, it's a crime against humanity and it's punishable. Under the UN General Assembly Resolution 3314 of 1974, Section 10, as well specified that a crime of aggression against a specific group will be punishable by imprisonment of a minimum term of 25 years. I understood that you're trying to do some land reform. It has to be across the country. And I do believe that the reason why you target Freetown in particular is because Freetown is overpopulated by 1.7 million out of 7 million people in the country. So Freetown alone is minimum 10 times more than anywhere else in the country. I do understand that ministers come into Freetown. They never live in Freetown before. They don't own any property or land in Freetown. But you can't go around grabbing people's lands or asking them to produce documents. Don't know the intention behind it. It might have been something that was discussed at Parliament, or it was something that was discussed at the cabinet meeting. I don't know. But what I do know is that you can't do that because it's not constitutional, as it's not inscribed in the law of the land. When people you want to reform, as some of the ministers are in Freetown, they do have places to live, I will advise the government to move the administrative function of the government from the capital city, Freetown, to another area. We have Bo, Kenema, McKinney, and that will relieve the problem or the pressure in Freetown for housing accommodation. For housing and accommodation. The other thing I want to draw the attention to is not just creating the act of genocide against a specific ethnicity, but it's totally wrong for an executive president to be allowing a minister to send such a memo. I will call on the Anti-Corruption Commission for them to look into that, as well as the police enforcement officers or the security enforcement officers, specifically the police, to see if there's any crime committed by the minister against a specific ethnicity group. This has to be taken seriously, because if you set a precedent, there are lots of paramount chiefs and chiefs across Sierra Leone that they own swath of lands in Bo, in Kenema, Kailao, McKinney, Bombali, just to name a few, Poloko, that they don't have land documents for their lands. We need to be more cohesive, more inclusive. You can't be targeting a specific ethnicity. I want to advise the Krio, as the Krio Descendant Association, they've met. I will advise them to have a lawyer that will document these crimes against this ethnicity group, both past, present, or future crimes should be well documented, labeled, and whosoever give the order, we need those names. They will be held responsible. For the government of Sierra Leone, my advice is to relocate the administrative function of the government, if they can't find accommodation in Freetown, to another city. We've seen they've done this in Nigeria, where the government moved the administrative function from Lagos, the capital city, to Abuja, the administrative city. We can do that if we have the problem in Freetown. I just want to draw attention for us to be very, very tactful, because land grabbing tends to lead to a civil war, as we've seen in Rwanda, which we all refer to as the genocide of Rwanda. We see it also in Sudan, Darfur, where the Sudanese government tried to grab Darfur because of oil. The people resisted. It became a genocide. We've seen as well in Ivory Coast, when Gabo tried to grab some land up in the north, which led to a civil war. We've seen as well in Bosnia, Burundi, Kenya. These are all crimes against humanity. I will appeal to both parties, the government, and specifically Dr. Sande and the Ministry of Lands, and an executive body of the Krios, for them to sit down and have a proper dialogue to make sure that they come to a reasonable agreement. And specifically, for any Krios that have misplaced their land documents, you can go to the registrar at Roxy Building. You need to pay a certain amount, I don't know the full amount, and then you can able to search for your land paper there from your parents or from your ancestors. All this was fully documented back in 1880 to 1920 when the British were there, and I believe up to 1958 and up to date, people are still registering the lands there. So nothing is misplaced. So no one, in my humble opinion, that people have falsified the document. It's possible, but I don't know. But I just want every party to restrain and have a proper dialogue. Have a solicitor to document any aggression against any person in relation to their properties, because the law protects properties. If you've built a property unlawfully on a common ground, and that's what people refer now to as government land, it's called a common ground, so it's not owned by anyone, it's owned by the state. My understanding should be 21 notice should be given and then taken to court. If this is a massive problem in Sierra Leone, then possibly we need to expand the court and have a special court sitting specifically for land reform or land disputes. And I don't believe that land disputes should last more than 3 months. We should have judges to look into this. I do believe that my advice to both the governments, the Ministry of Lands, Dr. Dennis Sandi, and the Krio in general, and everyone affected, will able to come to some compromise. As we do love Sierra Leone, we need to start to building the country. Thank you.